Great. Hi there.
Hi, Adam. How are you?
Good. How you doing, man?
Good. I just got done watching your movie.
Mm-hmm.
I was curious if the controversy surrounding bullying these days, which is always a big topic in the news, all of a sudden has was the reason why you wanted to make this movie.
The movie began with the idea of wanting to make a supernatural slasher that would be treated like an indie drama. So the idea was to make how do we make a slasher film that has emotional violence and emotional reality and three-dimensional characters. And I brought that initial inspiration to my writing partner, and he said we should make it about high school bullying with a female victim who comes back as the slasher, because that is like what I think you want to be doing in the very best of these kind of movies is finding a way in your horror movie to channel something that's both a personal anxiety and like a kind of a nationwide anxiety or like a cultural anxiety. And like we're in this era where the bullying, this high school bullying thing is like on everybody's mind, and we hear about it, and it's like these like really fucked up tragedies. But there's something about that that I think transcends just being about high school students or just being about sort of the modern era, and becomes something about like why are people so violent with each other? Like what is this impulse to like drive other people to suicide or like be so harmful to people? Like what does that mean? Why is that what we're doing? Why is that the world that we're in? So that it became like a really fruitful, sort of area to explore for a movie that was going to, on its nature, be about violence.
The movie kind of reminds me a little bit of The Devil's Backbone, with bringing, with a spirit that helps out, children in need in a very vengeful kind of way, and them getting in over their heads.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean I wouldn't say that was influence, but I'm familiar with the film. That's the kind of movie where it's what we were trying to achieve. It's like that movie completely works as a drama about teenagers. It completely works as being about this world of an orphanage during the middle of a war. Like all of that stuff is real, and then when you introduce a horror movie into it, when you introduce a ghost, all the things that make it scary seem so much more realistic and therefore so much more terrifying. And like you can believe more that there's a ghost in that world because the school is so well sort of set up and the people are so interesting.
Now, who's the actress who plays the vengeful spirit?
So Sierra McCormick plays Moira Carp. Sierra was previously famous to all of her fans as being in a Disney Channel sitcom called Ant Farm.
Huh.
And so obviously, we were sort of taking her into a pretty new direction.
Did you take any influences from anything else, or did you was any personal experiences put into the movie to make it kind of so surreal and gritty?
Yeah, I mean it's all personal experiences, not in the sense of that every scene is like scripted from an event in my life, but when working on every scene, especially when working with the actors on every scene, I would always give them like an event that had happened to me, or like something that happened, the way that I felt about something that happened, or like some like personal tragedy or something, so that in order to sort of help them connect to the reality of it, and to help them connect sort of in trusting me that I was taking all of this stuff quite seriously. So but I want to be careful not to. I'm not trying to approach it like, here's this thing that happened to me, and now we've turned it into a movie. It's all a little bit, to sort of translate it into, here's the emotional experience of something that happened, and so that's why I don't know. I feel a little non-specific, and so maybe it's a boring answer. As far as influences from movies, looking at the way that people have been able to translate old horror movies into new sort of brutal emotional experiences, like in films like Martyrs, was a big inspiration for how we wanted to approach this.
Cool. I kind of connected to it a little bit because I was bullied in high school, so then I was like, oh, this is great. This is a horror movie I can relate to.
Yeah. So did that aspect of it feel authentic to you as somebody that went through that? Because we have a variety of responses to this movie. Some people come up to me and have said like, I really felt real, and like I really love this, and like it's so like emotionally real to me. And other people have accused me of like exploiting a topic or glamorizing violence and things like that. So I don't
Those
know,
people,
I don't mind that.
honestly,
I think controversy is okay. I think the more honest you are about something, the more other people are going to think it's sort of wrong or upsetting.
Adam, those people have no idea what they're talking about when they were like, it exploits violence. I just need something to complain about today. I've had nothing to complain about today. It's like groups of people that just need to find everything to pick on, or they're not being represented correctly, or this is bad against their group of whatever. And I'm not going to name names because I don't need the phone calls going off the air and people, blowing up my Facebook page calling me a racist or a sexist. But you know what I'm talking about, and it's ridiculous. You know what I mean? It's just like, don't focus on that. Just focus on either A, it was a good or bad horror movie, and B, if it had a story that you connect to. Like, I connect to Nightmare on Elm Street because I was a teenager who grew up in suburbia. So
we were trying to be as specific as possible and make them into characters, and this is what these characters would do. And you say, okay, here's these realistic characters, and they're all fucked up, and they're all coming from this weird place, and some of them are self-harmers, and some of them are angry metalheads who want to try to avoid punching somebody, and then you introduce all of these crazy elements. What do they do as real people? And this is how we felt like they would behave, and we were trying to portray that honestly, and I think it creates a lot of interesting situations. But yeah, I mean, I'm always just hoping that people. Here's the thing: it's like this is not a movie that says here's something that's good or here's something that's bad, or have this like super succinct message. It's about exactly what you said. It's about how do we when you see this movie, can we connect to you? When you see these images of violence, or when you see these like moments, you feel a connection to it that makes you feel. I think one of the important things about horror movies is you go, look, we're all gonna die. We're all afraid of dying. We're all afraid of horrible violence. When you see some of this stuff in a movie, you think, well, that's really scary, but I also sort of feel a sense that I'm connected to other people who have the same anxieties.
True.
That's a really important aspect of what the genre is for.
Going back to Sierra real quick, just because
you cut in, but we have to do the last question.
Okay. Just going back to Sierra real quick, it's funny that, again, you mentioned, I never saw her TV show, but it's funny she's going from Disney Channel to serial killer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a huge leap for her, but, I met her, and she was like this super brilliant, super little genius 16-year-old girl, and we started talking about movies, and she was like, when I first saw Requiem for a Dream when I was 8 years old, I didn't really like it, but then I went back and saw it again when I was 11, and I really recontextualized Aronofsky's oeuvre and decided, like, it's actually my favorite film, and I was like, who is this, like, crazy, like, genius girl? She was really, like, she said all she ever wanted to do was play the scary character in a horror movie. It's like, something like she was really dying to do. And the thing that was so great about her was her understanding that she could play Moira as a real teenager rather than as, she's not, like, trying to be a demon. She's like, this is what this character's dead and has inexplicably come back to life and is full of rage and full of violence, and, like, this is what she's like. And I think